All right, good afternoon. We're working on the monitor, getting it ready for release. Let me go ahead and show where the app is at. We'll do an NTserve over here on the Angular CLI application, and then additionally we'll start up the different services. We have the TCP server working. We have the TCP SSL server working, but that's not going to work until I put it up with a valid certificate. And then I also have the Websocket server working, and that's going to be both on SSL and not SSL when I host it on IIS. We got the Web API, which is running. We've added a few endpoints for that so that using your OAuth token, you can retrieve your client application. We need to add one in here so you can update it. And then additionally, we've added one so that you can retrieve your alerts. We're adding in a lookup for the alerts so that you can grab them from a certain time period. So here is my test project. And then we'll add on here a new client app called Client App 1. And I'm going to grab this OAuth token. And we can use that to log into any one of our clients here. We'll use our TCP client and our WebSocket client. So we'll set the OAuth token here on the TCP client and then also on the WebSocket client. So it's logged in over here on the WebSocket client. Should also be logged in on the TCP client. And now what we can do is when we post alerts out, you can see that it just goes directly across over SignalR to my server, and everything is good. But what we don't have is anything that will make this filterable. Like I can search here for something where it's like online, but that's all within this tool, right? And this is AG Grid. We implemented this a couple of days ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that when you click a button here, it's going to, whatever you have selected, it's going to dismiss your messages. So let's set that up over here in the Web API and post out some messages really quickly. And we're going to post out here. And I can just do like a 2, and then a message will be like that. And I can just add a whole bunch of them. And you can see I've got 30 populated over there on the server at this moment. I'm up to 50 something. That's perfect. Okay, and when I check my select all, that does propagate through my different pages, so that's good. Okay. So currently when I click this button, get the selected rows, that's inside of my alerts dashboard. All it does is map it. It doesn't output it. So we're going to do this as a new variable. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select a few of these and then click Get Selected Rows. Now it's sent all 4 of them already as JSON to me as an object. So this should be easier than I was expecting using AG Grid. So what that means is that I've created a new endpoint over here on our Web API, which is called a post. And I'm going to change the name of that to be a post alerts dismiss. And currently this is done using the client application OAuth. So I'm going to copy this out and move it onto this method and then add it for each of these. And when you do this, you can submit these. We're going to do another one here called post alerts dismiss app. Like that. And this is going to be a same thing, 204, the alerts were dismissed. This is going to be from an authorize. And we're going to put this at app. Additionally, I want to add on to this WebAPI endpoint this authorize or this API skeleton so that it doesn't show up in my Git or my Swagger like that. And we're doing that because the authorization tokens are different, as well as how it pulls the data. So this one doesn't do it this way. It's just a await get application user asynchronous. And then here, this is the web app dismiss. And then our dismiss alert response. All right. I've already added this over here, right, onto the web API. Dismiss alerts. Okay, so over on the front end, I'm going to make a new service for this. And this is going to be on the alerts. So I think I have a features services called project. And in here, I can have one right here, which is a dismiss alerts. And what we're going to pass in here is an array of alerts. And it's going to return an observable of an iAlert array. And we want to return this .http client, and it's going to be a post. No, it's a put. We're doing this as a post. And I'm going to pass in here my dismiss request. And I'm going to be returning a no content. And we're going to be posting this to alerts dismiss app. And we're going to be posting this new object your dismiss returns a success, which is a Boolean. So one time I got the response from this. Where did I? It's right here. So here we want to do our post, and we want to pass in our new object here, which is a IDs, and then what we want is the this.alerts. Sorry, it's just called alerts. And we're going to map out the ID field. Now, when this returns, we also want to do this for this observe, the response. Which changes this to be a HTTP response of a Boolean. I can do it like that, which is now returning a type of object. Or I could just add this here. Like that. So that should now invoke our dismiss alerts based on anything that we put in there. So on my alerts controller, this is my post alerts dismiss app, and that looks good. And now what I'm going to do is look at my dashboard. Oops, I put this in the wrong place then. So we're going to move this function to the core service called HTTP service, like that. And now, when I look back at my dashboard for alerts, I should have a button on here. Get selected rows. I'm going to change this to say dismiss selected rows. And this is going to say dismiss selected rows. And then we're going to look at my alerts here. And we're going to have a dismiss selected, should be alerts. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab a list of these selected nodes. And what I want to do is invoke my, just a second, do I want to invoke the store? Not yet, because we need to do a this.webhub. So a this.http. So in my alerts dashboard, we want to add into my constructor a private HTTP, which is an HTTP client. And that's the wrong one. We want HTTP service. And in here, I should have a DismissAlerts, which I can do this for the selected nodes. As a type of iAlert DTO array, just iAlert array. Okay, so when we get into DismissAlerts, what I want to do is I want to do a console.log on alerts at this point. And when this finishes, I want to subscribe on this to be a success flag, which is a Boolean. And if success is equal to true, it should be a type of partial observer of HTTP response type Boolean.
Rowan, get your ball. Bring it up. Come on, get the ball.
Come on, baby. Just a second. All right, sorry about that. So it didn't like that one. I thought that would have for sure worked. So we could just do this.
Hey,
What's going on? Get out of there. So it really wants me to do it like this as a type any. But I really wanted to put my dispatch in here. But see, it's an observable. So it can't return it. So we're going to separate this to be like that. And then here, we're going to have a new subscription here called a DismissAlerts subscription. And we'll have it here. And then when we do my dismiss, we're going to do this as a this.dismissAlerts. Get out of there. Get out of there. Hey, get out of there. Thank you. So we'll do a post on it, and then when it's done, we're going to subscribe my response here. And now I want to say if my response dot status is equal to 204. Get out of there. So if I look under features, projects, services, where we're subscribing to this delete, that's inside of features, projects, alerts. Hello from France. Hello from California. How are you doing today? So this is your dispatch for the remove. So when we do this, we want to do a this.loading equals true. And we also want to have on here a loading, which is a Boolean. My alerts are getting passed in here. That's coming from the initial query. The other way I could do this is that I could just make all of this come right off of the data source. So if I look at my projects component, we're inputting the project here. And then subscribing it. And the same thing here. But when the data changes, so for example, when I dismiss these, that data is going to change. I don't need to get everything. I only need to get the ones from the alerts. So what that means is in my project dashboard here, all I need to pass is the ID. And then we'll have a project here called iProject. Which means that in my app component, I'm now only passing my project ID .id because that's being held within the store. And now I'm going to want to have another subscription on here for my project subscription. And we're going to subscribe on projects. So if you get a project here, then you want to do a this.project equals project. So when this happens, you want to say if you get your projects, then you want to say this.project is equal to projects.filter, and you want to get the one where your ID is equal to this project ID of the first one. So back on the web app. Okay, so we'll take a look at the web app here. And we can see that it's working. This is on your project's dashboard. So if this wasn't working or pulling from our NGRX store, we would have other problems. So that's done. On our alerts dashboard, well, projects is connected here to client applications. So we want to change this to be a client application.id. Okay. And then we want to have a this dot, and it's called a client applications subscription. It's equal to this dot store dot select my client applications, and we want to subscribe my client applications like that. And then down here we want to get rid of my subscription. And all I want to do is if my client applications, then I want to do this dot client application equals client applications filter. The project ID is equal to, I'm sorry, the just a second. Right. It's your ID here is equal to your this dot client application ID of the first one. Like that. And now the last one is our alerts dashboard, which is here. So when we pass this in, we want to pass in my alerts. Currently, you're storing your alerts here. This is not right. So we can pull off this alerts subscription. And now in alerts, we're going to pass in here my private store, which is a store of type app state. So we're going to pass in here the client application ID, which is a number. Like that. Which means we also want to have a new alerts here, which is an iAlert array. And then we want to have a alert subscription. Like that. So now when I look here at my client application ID here, let's see if we get these alerts. We're not. So this is never rolling up. Hold on. So it's never firing here. So this never fired. It's never even firing the init. Try that. So I mean, that's happy, it found it. So it's in my alerts dashboard. It's never firing here. So again, it's populating here, so it's just not sorting it correctly. It's this. What the hell is going on? I'm about to turn my phone off. Okay. Okay, so client applications dashboard has my client application name, and then I'm passing in the client application ID as a number. If your alerts is greater than 0. So I've never set my alerts here. So what you want to have is another one of these, which is called a this.alerts subscription. And here we want to select our alerts where it's an iAlert. And if we have any of them, then we're going to have a alerts here, which is an iAlert array. And then I'm going to make this in the destroy. And you want to filter them where your client application ID is equal to your client application ID. And now it's working. And so now, where this is passing in, we're subscribing there. All right, so that's good. So now what we want to do is we want to get our dismiss rows. So when I tried to do it, it says that we get a 400, not a 404, for alerts dismiss app. Now when I'm posting this, dismiss selected alerts is currently sending this. So let me go ahead and try doing a console.log of this. Okay, and so when this loads again, it did this as 2 row nodes. So what I want to look for now is a grid Angular select type. So let's do a get selected nodes grid to type. Maybe what I want to do is a JSON.stringify my selected nodes. So it wasn't happy with me for that. When I look at this again, it's giving me two row nodes. And in here you have something called data. There we go. And I should be able to map this as a alert array. That looks good. So now I should be able to send this over to dismiss nodes. And there it is, and it's hit my backend. We did receive our IDs. We did get our dismissal. Everything worked. ASD is not defined. Interesting. So if we get back a code 204, then what I want to do is a this.store.dispatch a new actions, which is a and now if I look at my actions in here, we're going to make a new one on my core reducers called alerts reducer. And we're going to make a new action in here called dismiss alerts. Like that. And it's going to implement an action, which is going to be called a dismiss alert and a dismiss alert. With plural. And all this is going to pass in here is a number of IDs. And so in our reducer, Now we have our switch in here, which is going to be a case for my alerts actions, which is called a DismissAlerts. Okay, and so for this, what we want to do is our indices that we're passing in comes from second. What I want to do is go through every single one of the alerts and remove the ones that we need to. So we can do a cast version of the alerts actions dot dismiss alert of the action and get our IDs. Oh. All right, guys, I got to take a short break. I'll be back in, say, a couple of hours. Let's see, it's currently 3 o'clock. So let's say that if I was to come back, we'll put it at something like 6 o'clock tonight, but we may be back sooner than that. So if you have any questions, make sure you pop them into the chat at discord.pixelhorrorstudios.com. Also, I put all these videos up at youtube.pixelhorrorstudios.com. So thank you so much again, and I'll see you guys a bit later. Have a good one. Bye.